Hello and welcome to One on One. On this episode, we'll be focusing on content creation in Africa. Now, Africa is an amazing continent with people of diverse culture and generation and gender and historical significance. Now, we're translating that diversity into the way we create our content. To discuss this with me today is technology, media and telecommunications investor. I'm going to ask her why she calls herself that. And she's also the head of music, Sub-Saharan Africa at YouTube and YouTube Music. She is Addy Awofisayo. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
What does Addy mean?
Addy is actually Adiola.
Oh.
That's my given name from my family. But when I was in college, a friend of mine, there's Addy the American doll. And she was like, oh, you're right. You remind me of Addy the American doll because it's a black doll, which we don't have, back then we didn't have a lot of. And I just was like, okay, Addy. And that stuck with me.
And how did your parents react? You know how our parents can be like, your name is Adiola with a meaning. How did you change it to Addy?
Yeah, I mean, they said exactly that. And then they just got used to it. Like, even my dad sometimes is like, Addy. But when my mom really wants to call me, she's like, Adiola. I'm like, oh, what have I done?
So tell me, what was growing up like? What was it like growing up?
Growing up was fun, actually. So I had this very creative mindset. I used to like telling stories and making up stories. So when people come to my house, I would say, oh, let me tell you a story. And then I'll come up with this elaborate story and they will say, wait, is that real? I'll say, no, I just made it up. But growing up, I also didn't think the creative space was a space that I could actually have a career. It was just a hobby and something I liked to do. I liked to watch Tales by Moonlight and things like that. But my real job was going to be an accountant. I was going to go to school to be an accountant and learn how to count money was what I thought. And how to make money. That was what I thought. Because in my household, I didn't have a role model that was in the creative space. My mom was a town planner, my dad was a pharmacist, so it was very traditional careers, and that's the path that I thought I had to take.
So what happened? What now made the switch? How did you now make the switch to
a bit of a long journey? Okay. But I think ultimately, after going to school and studying finance and working in investment banking, and I worked at Microsoft in finance, and I truly actually loved working at Microsoft. That was my first inroad into the tech world. I didn't really like finance. It was very boring to me. I was like, okay, I don't think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I saw my finance directors, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's the job I want. Like, that's not my trajectory. And so after about 4 years at Microsoft, I decided to take a year off. And I went to Jamaica. I went to work with the Clinton Foundation. Nice. I applied to grad school, went to grad school at Harvard. And then it was then I started trying to understand what it's like to have a career in the media and the entertainment sector. And I had a professor that was great. And I worked on multiple projects with him. One of it was working at Discovery. And so after I graduated, I continued on that project. So that was my first inroad into entertainment. And and then it's just been up from there, basically. Oh,
wow, interesting. I see that you talk about your parents so fondly. You know, what life lessons have you learned from your parents?
A lot. I mean, they've had such a strong impact on me and growing up. And my mom is such a strong female role model, like someone who, I don't know how she did it, but was thriving in the workplace, but knew how to take care of her family, making sure that, before we went to school, there was food in the morning. When we come back, like there's dinner, and it's just, even now, me growing up and being married, I'm like, how did she do it? But yeah, I think my parents kind of created this very supportive home, where my dad was very supportive of my mom was very supportive of my dad, and that for me just showed me the type of life values that I want growing up.
So I'm sure they're very proud of you.
I hope so.
So let's talk about being in the tech space, being female media executive in the tech space. What was that like for you? Did you feel like I know it happens to everyone, but what was it like? Did you feel like any imposter, settling into that role? What has the experience been like when you first got in and now that you're finally like settled in?
Yeah, I think, and maybe I'm lucky that I didn't really feel that. And I think it was because I've surrounded myself with amazing role models, both females and males. Like, I'm still in touch with my very first manager at Microsoft, Diane O'Brien, who was such a strong female figure, in my career starting up, and made me realize that I could do anything that I wanted to do. And also would challenge me. Like when I thought I was thriving and I was a superstar, she would say, great, but what if you did this differently? And so for me, I think surrounding myself with role models that empowered me, that supported me, that challenged me, really didn't make me feel like, oh, I'm not wanted or I'm not in the right space. So I think that for me was a big factor.
Okay, so we'll just take a quick break on that note and then we'll continue the rest of the interview. We'll just take a short break. Addy is still going to be here with us. And next up, we're going to be talking about content creation, and the rest of Africa. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on One-on-One. I still have Addy with me, and we're talking about imposter syndrome and how she settled into her current role. So, Addy, you were telling me that you're still in touch with your first manager. So, how did you keep that relationship?
Yeah, so LinkedIn helped. After I left, just still stayed connected on LinkedIn and sending, once you see an update, you send a congratulatory message or hello. And then I do this thing where once you tell me your birthday, I save it in my phone. So at least if I don't speak to you in the entire year on your birthday, you would get at least a message from me, because who doesn't like getting a happy birthday greeting? So that's something I've tried to that's the habit that I've tried to do to maintain keeping in touch with people.
Okay, cool. So tell us about your current role now. Yeah,
so my current role, I head up music for Sub-Saharan Africa, and I basically explain my job as the African music champion on YouTube and YouTube Music. So what that means is I help define our strategy in terms of how we are supporting African music and African artists and labels. I help also execute that strategy. So thinking about how are we bringing Africa to the world using YouTube as a platform? What are some of the initiatives that we want to put in place to make sure that people can get to experience African artists? And we have certain pillars. We want to make sure that artists and labels are making money on our platform. We want to make sure that they're getting discovered by fans. And then we also want to make sure that they're using our product to really connect with their fans. So my role is making sure that that is implemented well in Africa.
Interesting. You also describe yourself as a TMT investor. Tell me more about that.
So I have a finance background. And so making money and investing has always been of interest to me. And so once I started having a little bit of change, I decided to start investing. And I started looking at tech companies, and I started looking at fintech companies and also media and entertainment companies. So I remember telling myself that, I don't want to miss out on the next pay stock, on the next flutter wave. I want to make sure I'm in there early. So I joined the fund, and through that fund, we basically invest in new and upcoming businesses in the technology, media, and telecom space.
Oh wow, that's really nice. So what are the recent recent developments or recent what's the word I'm looking for now? Startups that you've recently invested in that are locally made in Nigeria.
Yes, and the thing is, the Nigeria tech startup ecosystem is booming, right? There's a lot of startups just coming up and a lot of innovations coming up. I can't name specific ones. But I think, again, looking at the fintech space, that's a space that is booming. You have Flutterwave, Chipper Cash, Kuda Bank, there's always one or the other that's coming up. And then even in the media space, there are a lot of people who are thinking about content discovery and content consumption. There are a lot of companies that are thinking about the creative economy, because really, that's where the next gen people, you ask your nephew who's 6-year-old, what do you want to be? He's saying, oh, I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I want to be a gamer. Like, you don't hear I want to be a doctor anymore.
No.
So that creative economy space is definitely booming and very exciting for investors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a female executive, in tech, what advice do you have for other females who want to, go in the same career path?
I would say surrounding yourself with mentors and people who you can learn from. That for me has been a great, a great opportunity. Just making sure that I'm surrounded by females or even males that I look up to and I can learn from, but also not being afraid to put myself out there. There's some, like even this role, I don't have a music background. I've never worked in the music industry, and a lot of people who are in similar roles at other companies or even within YouTube have done, years of experience either working with a music label, working as a manager. I don't have any of that. So when this opportunity came up and I was asked to take it, I was kind of like, am I really qualified for it? But I'm like, you know what? Just believe. One, a lot of people learn on the job.
True.
Fake it till you make it, like they say, and like Rihanna said, so it's believing in yourself, challenging yourself, taking those opportunities even when you're not completely sure, and just making sure that you're going to learn and you're going to do your best.
Okay. Now, talking about music, which current artists are you listening to? Do you have like any favorite artist that you...
You know what? It's so hard now being in this role and then saying I have a favorite artist. It's so funny because in December, I was going for all these concerts and everything. And then I put it up on my stories like, oh, concerts in Nigeria, why are they so bougie? Like, people are, sitting on tables and they're not like having fun. I'm like, I want to have fun. And next thing, people actually thought I was just saying it as a person, as a fan going to a concert, but people thought, oh, the head of music is saying concerts in Nigeria. I was like, So, but there are a lot of amazing artists, and I think what is also very exciting is they're all young. Yeah. Everyone coming up now, from Ira Star to Omale to Elaine to Azawi. I mean, it's like the next generation. They're killing it. They're killing it. Yeah.
Interesting. Last year, for example, I was privy to be part of the people that YouTube talked with concerning supporting the back end, because that's the thing though about Nigerian music. It's fantastic, we're global now, but the back end, training the talent manager, so tell us more about that, because I think that many people don't see, everybody just wants to blow, but we don't see how music management is important, your label and all of that. Tell us more about how YouTube is supporting African artists with this.
Yeah, and I think what we've realized is that for an artist to be successful, they need a strong team of people around them. Like you said, a lot of people just see the artist, but they don't see all the work that goes on behind them. And I also, just someone that works with a lot of artists, I see the difference, when I'm interacting with an artist and their team, between an artist that's really grounded by a strong team and an artist where, it's your friend that's managing you and both of you are figuring it out and, things like that. So there's a strong differentiation between an artist that really has a strong team. And so for us, we were like, okay, we do want to support artists. And so in order to do that, we want to make sure that we're supporting the team around them. So we came up with an initiative called Future Makers, which is supported by our music team, and we said, okay, let's look for organizations in Africa that are supporting that ecosystem, the music professionals, the managers, the lawyers, the brand people, the PR people. And Music Business Academy, which is founded by Godwin Tom, was one of it. And he's been, Godwin has been in this industry for a long time. He's seen, the challenges, he's seen the opportunities, and he started this from his own pocket. And so we decided to support him so that he can expand and do more, which is very exciting.
Yeah, nice. Okay, we're going to take another break. But before I take that break, let's talk about how Afrobeat is taking lead in the global space. Right. It's like it's everywhere. And you know, even recently over the Christmas holiday, there was a song that trended that everybody used. You want to bam bam.
Bamba. Oh God.
That every trended like all over, and then you know, it was when we now started saying international superstars like Mariah Carey used
Even Shaquille O'Neal.
yes, and everybody was like, oh my
on?
goodness. So tell us, you know, because you handle this right now. So tell us, you know, tell us about this.
I think what has been so interesting is now music has no barrier, right? Music can travel anywhere without a plane. And so that's really exciting. I used to say that back in the days, if you have a friend or a cousin in London and they wanted to hear the music from Nigeria, you probably needed someone to take a CD to travel and take it to them. But now they can go on YouTube, they can go on any digital platform and discover and experience an artist. And that has really helped, you know, our music, our Afrobeat, our African music travel and reach places that even the artist is like, I've never been there. You know, I've never been to India, but yes, they're playing my song in, you know, an Indian radio, an Indian club. So I think technology has played such a huge role in really propelling, and I don't even think we're there yet. Like, see what's happening with K-pop. Like, there's still so much growth for us, and even when the internet becomes, you know, like my friend would say, pure water, where anyone can really afford it, we're gonna have more and more people on the internet, more and more people consuming music, and that is going to continue to just grow, you know, our music fan base. And I'm just excited I'm in this space right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I'm able to experience this in my time. Okay, we'll just take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us, and if you're just tuning in, this is One on One. My name is Funmi Unuajefe, and I have Addy with me. We're talking about everything. Now, the content industry is booming, especially the short video market. In 2020, the global influencer market was valued at $9 billion US. Now, that's according to Tech Cabal. How can more people get into that market share, Addy?
I would say create a solution. Create a solution, figure out what the problem is, or find a problem and create a solution for people. And I think, I mean, like you said, the short video space has started booming, right? So we've seen like the arrivals of platforms like TikTok, right? Which created a no barrier to becoming a content creator, to becoming a superstar, becoming an influencer. You hear stories of is it Kabi, the Senegalese boy who's, you know, is he Italy, and now he's like the top.
He's one of the wealthiest now.
Yeah, like the top, you know, third most followed on, you know, and so it's just amazing to see. And so for us at YouTube, we created a feature called Shorts, because we realized that long form, while long form is there and it's not going anywhere, people want to consume content quickly, faster, in a very short time frame, but people also want to create just shorts videos. So we create a feature of Shorts where you can basically become a creator on your phone, on your mobile phone. And and I remember a lot of creators, when I speak to them about, you know, why they're not on YouTube or why they don't feel like they're consistent on YouTube, they feel like, in order to be a YouTuber, I need a big camera, I need a space, I need a studio space. And now with Shorts, from the comfort of your home, with your mobile phone, you can become a creator. And it's just really exciting. All
right, so thank you for talking about Shorts, because that goes to my next question. You know, in 2021, TikTok was the most visited, even beating Google, for example. And then you guys have created this Shorts. So what has the reception been like in the time that you have created? Because, you know, it's always hard to move. So for example, Facebook created Reels to try and also go with TikTok, but many people still go on TikTok, create their content, and now bring it on Instagram and post it. So what has the reception been like for YouTube Shorts? Has it, you know, grown compared to, or when you created it, has it met the target that you set out to create it for?
I think what we've basically done is create another way for creators to create content and create another way for users to consume content. So we're seeing a lot of OG YouTubers who create their long form videos still create shorts, right? Still create shorts as a way to reach a new audience that may not want to watch a 10-minute video, especially in a market where data is still, you know, a barrier. And for those who are not on YouTube, Shorts is sort of their inroad to YouTube, right? They're building an audience. Wayne Magician, he's a creator in South Africa. He's one of the, you know, biggest creators in short form, and he always had a YouTube channel, but didn't know, because his content is very short, so didn't know how to, you know, make it longer for it to fit the long form format on YouTube. And then when shorts came, he started creating shorts, and he saw his channel grow like, well, almost 60% in a couple of months. And so we're seeing shorts bring a lot of new types of creators to the platform.
Okay, cool. I wanted to also find out from you about the creative community. You know, this is totally different from the music community. What is YouTube doing for the creative community in Africa?
Yeah, so I mean, I think for us, creators are the what do you call it? The bread of YouTube, right? They're the ones that a lot of fans come to YouTube to come and find out what their, you know, favorite creator is doing. And since, you know, my previous role actually, which was looking after creators in Sub-Saharan Africa, we did things like Next Up, where we basically took 20 creators across South Africa and Nigeria, put them in a boot camp, and gave them a lot of resources in terms of information, you know, just training them on how they can grow their channel, how they can build an audience, how they can become a brand. Because a lot of creators start on creating as a hobby, and then they build this massive audience. Brands are reaching out to them saying, oh, how much is your rate card? And some people are like, rate card? Exactly. What are you talking about? So we really help them figure out how they can build a business, because a lot of creators become business owners just by starting a YouTube channel. Zelicious Food, she's gone on to create merch. She's gone on to create, you know, her own cooking show. Like, she's gone on to have businesses just from starting, you know, a cooking channel from her home.
Interesting. That's the power of media. So, okay, now let's talk about the streaming platforms. You know, the global streaming now has become a fantastic thing, especially for music producers and music artists, because they're able to earn money. If you remember, sometime was it 2021 or 2020? There was an issue that happened on Apple Music where someone had taken Wizkid's album and totally just made money off it. He called himself the Wise Kid, and then he made money. I don't know if you're aware of that story, because I wanted to. Okay, so let me just try and summarize it. So there was this guy that took Wizkid's album. Bottom line, he was able to earn money off Wizkid's album alongside with this. I think he made about 30 million naira.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to find out, on YouTube, how do you ensure that this doesn't happen, where somebody, because you know, like every time when you open the YouTube page, you see official video, unofficial video, and all of those things. How? Because YouTube pays for this stream. So how do you ensure that the artist, the original creator of the content, earns money than somebody else just earning off?
Right. So we have a strong copyright. We have a strong sort of copyright policy, and we have a tool called Content ID. Basically, what Content ID does is it scans to make sure that if you've uploaded content of someone else, that person can either take it down. They can either earn, you know, they can decide, okay, I'm just gonna, the money that you're earning on your video will transfer to me. Or they can just leave it alone, right? You know, so for example, using Wizkid's label would have Content ID. And so if anyone else, if fans are creating, you know, their own versions of Essence and they are putting it up, the label has the decision for using Content ID to either take down those videos, or they will decide to just take the revenue from those videos, or they will decide to leave the videos on, and that allows, you know, because there's some people that want their fans to recreate videos, you know, we're just talking about, you want to bamba, there's all these recreations, all these challenges. So they leave it because they want, that helps also with the ecosystem. But our content ID system makes sure that if you're unauthorized, you will not be able to earn from someone else's work.
Okay, fantastic. So recently I know that YouTube reviewed the payment for streaming, and yes. So what's the payment plan? Because someone argue with me and saying, oh, what we get paid here in Nigeria is different from what content creators get paid in the US and everything. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I just think that they just put the rates. How much do you get paid per stream? And is there like a flat rate across board? So if I post from the US or I post from Nigeria, is it like the same rate?
Yeah, so on YouTube, we have something called CPM, right? Cost per milli. So for a content creator that is uploading from Nigeria, if your views actually are coming from the United States, the CPMs in the US are bigger. Why? Because the digital advertising market is bigger, because a lot more advertisers are putting their money in digital. Whereas in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, a lot of advertisers are still putting their money on TV and radio, right? Because that's where they feel majority of the audience are. And so for now, the CPMs in Nigeria and some parts of Africa are not as high as the CPMs in the US. So if you're a creator and you put a video on YouTube and you monetize that, you're monetizing that video, but 90% of your views are coming from Nigeria, you might earn X. Whereas, you know, if you're a creator from Nigeria, you put your video on YouTube, but 90% are coming from the US or another market where the CPMs are higher, you would earn more than X. So it's really about where your views are coming from, not where you, because people are like, oh, I'm a Nigerian, so that's why I'm not earning.
Oh, so you've answered that question as well.
Yes, okay. I have. But it's not about where you're from. It's about where your audience is and what the digital advertising market looks like in that market.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fortunately, that's all the time we have. We're going to try, because I know it was a lot of work trying to get you here to complete this interview today. But thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll be talking to you about investing and looking at which fintech to switch. So thank you so much, Addy, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me
again. Okay. Thank you for staying with us on this episode of One-on-One. You will agree with me that the time spent with Addy today has been fantastic. It has been worthwhile. I've learned so much from her. So we're going to end this episode and see you again on another episode of One-on-One. Enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Funmi Unuajefe.